All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I have to give all thanks and praises unto our power, Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahawashi, Bahasham Wa Rakakwadash. Peace, blessings, much respect to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone, on down to the rest of the elders who rule well within Israel. Salutations to the hopeful elect throughout the four corners of this whole entire earth, no matter where, whom they may be, or what they may look like, pushing out this purified truth. To the rest of the church who believe as well, you men who may not be teachers or prophets, you women, sons and daughters also. And the water to Yahawashi, because without him enduring and going to that cross for the nation of Israel and the nation of Israel alone, none of this would even be possible whatsoever. And that's exactly what this lesson is going to be about, is Yahawashi going to that cross for the nation of Israel and the nation of Israel alone. Okay. This is Isaiah chapter 53 and verse 3. He is despised and rejected of men, a man of sorrows, acquainted with grief, and we hid, as it were, our faces from him. He was despised and we esteemed him not. So you have to imagine him being crucified on that cross and taking upon all of our sins. You have to imagine the humility, the grief, the anguish. You know, words can't really put into words what Yahawashi went through at all. Verse 4, surely he hath borne our griefs and carried our sorrows, yet we did esteem him stricken, smitten of the power, and afflicted. So all of that torment that he went through, he did that for us. But he was wounded for our transgressions. So we are the ones under the law. In order for you to be a transgressor, you would have to be under the covenant. The laws would have to be given to you. Okay? But he was wounded for our transgressions. He was bruised for our iniquities. The chastisement of our peace was upon him, and with his stripes we were healed. Let me see. Let me read verse 2. I don't know why I skipped verse 2. This is Isaiah 53 and 2. Might as well just start from 1, right? Isaiah 53 and 1. Who hath believed our report, and to whom is the arm of the Lord revealed? For he shall grow up before him as a tender plant, and as a root out of a dry ground. He hath no form nor comeliness. So this wasn't speaking of Yahawashi being ugly. This was speaking of when he was being crucified, when he was hanging on that cross. That was not a pretty sight. That was not a comely sight. That had to have been a very, very terrible sight to look upon. Okay? He hath no form nor comeliness. And you have to imagine how bad he was beaten. He was unidentified. Okay? And when we shall see him, there is no beauty that we should desire him. So you have to imagine him hanging on that cross, looking humiliated for our transgressions. Okay? Now let's jump back down to verse 5. But he was wounded for our transgressions. He was bruised for our iniquities. The chastisement of our peace was upon him, and with his stripes we are healed. All we, like sheep, have gone astray. We have turned everyone to his own way, and the Lord hath laid on him the iniquity of us all. And that's speaking of the iniquity of you Israelites. Let's go to Matthew chapter 1 and verse 21. And she shall bring forth a son, speaking of Mary, and thou shalt call his name Yahawashi, for he shall save his people from their sins. His people, Matthew 2 and 6. And thou, Bethlehem, in the land of Judah, art not the least among the princes of Judah, for out of thee shall come a governor that shall rule my people Israel. So his people, okay, that he came for is speaking of you Israelites. Matthew 1:21 again. And she shall bring forth a son, and thou shalt call his name Yahawashi, for he shall save his people from their sins. And I just showed you that his people is going into Israelites. Okay? Isaiah 53 and verse 7. He was oppressed and he was afflicted, yet he opened not his mouth. So when he was going through that terrible time, that trial, which he did for us, which first he laid up his life for his own sins first, then for the rest of us. Okay, Lord willing, we're of the elect of the nation of Israel, because that's where it starts. But when he was being beaten and afflicted, he wasn't yelling out, please stop, please don't do this to me, it hurts. He took it like a man. Okay, he is brought as a lamb to the slaughter, and as a sheep before her shears is dumb, so he openeth not his mouth. So a lot of times before a sheep is about to get put to death, they're not crying and screaming. Okay? That's how Yahawashi went to that cross. He didn't go to that cross crying and screaming and pleading and asking for mercy. Okay? He was taken from prison and from judgment. And who shall declare his generation? For he was cut off out of the land of the living. For the transgression of my people was he stricken. And what people is that? That's the nation of Israel. Okay? Hebrews chapter 2 and verse 9. But we see Yahawashi, who was made a little lower than the angels, for the suffering of death, crowned with glory and honor, that he, by the grace of the power, should taste death for every man. And that every man is speaking to you Israelites. Okay? Starting with the elect of Israel. Okay? And then it trickles on down from there. It's not literally speaking of every man. Yahawashi went to that cross and he had died for the sins of Israel. He didn't die for the sins of any other nation. Okay? Hebrews chapter 5 and verse 7. Who in the days of his flesh, when he had offered up prayers and supplication with strong crying and tears unto him that was able to save him from death, and was heard, and that he feared. Though he were a son, yet learned he obedience by the things which he suffered. And Yahawashi is a true example of obedience. He was obedient to the Heavenly Father. And that's how we are to be towards Yahawashi. Okay? And with being that way towards Yahawashi, that's how you show obedience to the Father. And being made perfect, he became the author of eternal salvation unto all them that obey him. See, he is only going to deal with those who obey him. So when he went to that cross, he went to that cross with the intent of dying for those who obey him of the nation of Israel. He didn't go to that cross just for any and everybody. You know, people will read John 3 and 16 and will automatically assume, see, all you have to do is just believe, that's it. You don't have to do nothing else, no action, no nothing, no life-changing lifestyle, okay? All you have to do is just say, I believe, and you can be a demon as much as you want to, okay? Who in the days of his flesh, when he had offered up prayers and supplications with strong crying and tears unto him that was able to save him from death, and was heard, and that he feared, though he were a son, yet learned he obedience by the things which he suffered. And that's what it's about. Just like us, we suffer, we go through what we go through now, but it also shows us obedience. It makes us stronger. And being made perfect, he became the author of eternal salvation unto all them that obey him. So not everybody. All right. But all those who obey him. This is John chapter 15 and verse 13. Greater love hath no man than this, that a man lay down his life for his friends. Okay. Let's hold this. Let's jump back right quick. Okay. Hebrews 5:9. And being made perfect, he became the author of eternal salvation unto all them that obey him. So Yahawashi went to that cross for those who obey him. All right. Let's jump back to John 15. In verse 13, greater love hath no man than this, that a man lay down his life for his friends. Now you're going to see why I went back to that verse. Okay, there's a reason why I went back to that verse. It said that salvation to those who obey him, right? Verse 14, ye are my friends if ye do whatsoever I command you. So Yahawashi went to that cross for those who do what he says. He went to that cross for those who are obedient unto him. Those are his friends. Yahawashi died for his friends. He didn't die for everybody. Why would a man lay down his life for a bunch of strangers that he knows nothing about, that has nothing to do with him? He laid down his life for his brethren, his friends, and it trickles down to the rest of the nation of Israel through the elect men, okay, and women. Verse 15, henceforth I call you not servants, for the servant knoweth not what his Lord doeth, but I have called you friends. For all things that I have heard of my Father, I have made known unto you. So Yahawashi went to that cross for those who are his friends. His friends are those who does what he says. His friends are those who are obedient to this word. Period. Hebrews 5:9 once again. And being made perfect, he became the author of eternal salvation unto all them that obey him. Because all those who obey him are what? They're his friends. And not everybody is a friend of the Lord. Many can't pretend like they're friends of the Lord, but those who obey Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahawashi are truly the friends of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahawashi. This is Zechariah chapter 12 and verse 10. And I will pour upon the house of David and upon the inhabitants of Jerusalem the spirit of grace and of supplications. And they shall look upon me whom they have pierced. And they shall mourn for him as one mourneth for his only son. And shall be in bitterness for him as one that is in bitterness for his firstborn. So there's going to come a time in the future, in the near future, we are going to look upon Yahawashi's body when he was being beaten and crucified. We're going to see what it looked like in real time. Okay? And it's going to cause us to be very, very saddened. We're going to be full of sorrow on that day. Okay? Verse 11, in that day there shall be a great mourning in Jerusalem, as the mourning of Hadradraman in the valley of Megadon. And I believe that's where Josiah, they were mourning for him. They were lamenting for him after his death. Okay? King Josiah, who was a king at 8 years old, by the way, which also shows how Western society has lied to our people, trying to make it seem like you're not an adult until you're 18 or 21. Josiah was a king at 8 years old. Okay? And the land shall mourn every family apart. The family of the house of David apart, and their wives apart. The family of the house of Nathan, which also goes into the house of Judah, and their wives apart. The families of the house of Levi apart, and their wives apart. And the family of Shimei, which goes into the house of Benjamin, apart, and their wives apart. All the families that remain, every family apart and their wives apart. So all Israel All the 12 tribes, there's going to come a day where we are actually going to mourn and lament because we're going to see Yahawashi's body crucified, showing what he went through for us. Man, it's going to be a very, very sad day. You know, it's going to be a very, very expressive time. This is John chapter 19. John chapter 19 and verse 11, then answered, thou couldst have no power at all against me, except it were given thee from above. Therefore, he that delivered me unto thee hath the greater sin, which is speaking of Judas. Now let's go down to 24. Let me see. John 19 and 24. And these were some of the witnesses that had saw Yahawashi, okay, who had witnessed his crucifixion. This is John 19 and 24. They said, therefore, among themselves, let us not rend it, but cast lots for it, whose it shall be. And this was because of prophecy. You know, they were casting lots to fulfill prophecy, that the scripture might be fulfilled, which saith, they parted my raiment among them, and for my vesture they did cast lots. These things, therefore, the soldiers did. Now there stood by the cross of Yahawashi his mother and his mother's sister, Mary the wife of Cleophas, and Mary Magdalene. So these were those who had witnessed Yahawashi on that who witnessed Yahawashi, tongue twisting here. These are some of those who witnessed Yahawashi on that cross. Verse 26. Matter of fact, let's read 25 again. Now there stood by the cross of Yahawashi his mother and his mother's sister, Mary the wife of Cleophas, and Mary Magdalene. When Yahawashi therefore saw his mother and the disciples standing by whom he loved, so John the Revelator, he was there with Yahawashi as well. He said unto his mother, woman, behold thy son. So Yahawashi told John the Revelator, my mom is your mom. Okay? Then saith he to the disciple, behold thy mother. And from that hour, that disciple took her unto his own home. So Yahawashi told John, the disciple whom he loved, whom he favored, my mom is your mom. So as Yahawashi is hanging on that cross, about to give up the ghost, these had to have been, you know, very heavy, heavy words to John. And John took care of her. And if you noticed, it didn't mention Joseph anywhere during the time of Yahawashi being crucified. Why is that? Is it because Joseph was her stepdad? Is it because Joseph was, you know, maybe he divorced Mary? Well, I believe truly Joseph at this particular time, he may have passed away already. Okay? And when you look at when Joseph got Mary pregnant, impregnated, Joseph had to have been a lot older than Mary. Mary had to have been a really, really young woman. Joseph had to have been a lot older. So there's a good chance that Joseph wasn't mentioned because Joseph had passed away. Okay? Now, me personally, I believe that Yahawashi and John could have been cousins. They could have been family. And the reason why, when you go to the book of Mark, because now this is showing those who saw Yahawashi up close. These are they who witnessed his crucifixion. Okay? So there were women who witnessed his crucifixion. It was actually more men who witnessed, or more women who witnessed his crucifixion than men. So you can't say women are insignificant, because women are important. Okay? But I believe that Yahawashi and John may have been related, and this is why I say that. Mark 15 and 37. And Yahawashi cried with a loud voice and gave up the ghost. And the veil of the temple was rent in twain from the top to the bottom. And when the centurion which stood over against him saw that he so cried out and gave up the ghost, he said, truly, this man was the son of the power. There were also women looking on afar off, among whom was Mary Magdalene, and Mary the mother of James the Less, and Joseph, and Salome. Who's Salome? And why was Salome with these other women? Let's read this again. There were also women looking on afar off, among whom was Mary Magdalene, and Mary the mother of James the Less, and Joseph, and Salome. So why was Salome amongst these other women? Who is Salome? Salome is the mother of James and John. She was there. So she had to have had, some connection to these women. And now it didn't mention Yahawashi's mother being here at this particular time. Okay? Or actually, yeah, it does. It does. So it shows that Yahawashi's mother, hold on, let me see. And there were also women looking on afar off, among whom was Mary Magdalene, and Mary the mother of James the Less, and Joseph, and Salome. Okay, now I'm not sure if that's speaking of Yahawashi's mother, because Yahawashi had a brother named James as well. So let's say this is referencing Yahawashi's mom, along with the mother of John. And Yahawashi told John, my mom is your mom. But John's mom was amongst these women. So there could be some connection there. They may have been related, which we're all related anyway. We're all from the nation of Israel. We're all family anyway. But you get my drift. So Yahawashi went to that cross for his believers, man. Men and women. And there's going to come a time we're actually going to lay eyes on his body and what it looked like when he was crucified. And it's going to be a very, very sad moment, just to see what he went through for us. The Lord loves his people. Okay. And out of all the disciples, John was the only one that saw Yahawashi crucified. Okay. And that's heavy on its own. So I thought I'd bring this lesson out, and hopefully it was simple and edifying. I got to get ready for work. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up there and, call it a night, so to speak. Give all thanks and praises unto our power, the power of Israel, not the power of any other nation. And what's his name? Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahawashi, Bahasham Wa Rakakwadash. Shalom.